We are recording. Would you introduce yourself, please?
I will introduce myself. My name is Adrienne, and I'm the director of Belisama Irish Dance.
And I'm Annie, and I'm an instructor and artistic director of Belisama Contemporary Dance.
And I am Lizzie.
She's the big one.
She's the big one. I'm Lizzie. I get to ask the questions, you guys. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I even wrote them out, so I have to read them. Okay, I'm going to quote the school's philosophy as written in your little blurb that you have there. The school's philosophy centers on well-being of each dance, individuality of its students, and uniqueness of expression and learning through dance in a safe and supportive environment. So my question is, how then is each dancer's, quote, individual expression integrated into a seamless art form or performance? In other words, it's great to have emphasis on the individual, but at some point you're about something that's bigger than just the individual. How do you get them to that point? How is that addressed?
Oh, that's a really good question and a really hard question. Do you want to go?
I'll start.
Okay.
So we want them to have a really strong, solid technique.
Yes.
In different styles. So they have kind of a big, broad, different dynamics and different styles to choose from. But the idea is that you have this kind of foundation of technique. And from that, you can all dance together. But it also, we want them to kind of be able to find their own voice through that.
You're sensitive to that.
Yeah.
The group performance benefits from everyone feeling that and knowing what their individual strengths are.
Yeah, happy dancers equals good performance.
And they collectively work together and are stronger together as a unit because they all know who they are.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And then on top of that, the individual, everybody's body is so different.
Yes, sure.
That if you don't add some individuality to the teaching of the technique that she was talking about, then you don't have, they miss some key points that they need for their own posture and their own way of carrying themselves.
Absolutely, I understand. Thank you. I also read about your Kickstart program for 10 through 18-year-olds, and it sounds wonderful, but I didn't quite understand really what that's about. Would you tell us a little more about Kickstart?
Yeah,
what
sure.
that entails?
So we had this idea, we come across a lot of people in this city that always say, oh, I want to dance, I would have loved to dance, but if I had started when I wanted to at 16, I would have been dancing with 2-year-olds, really young ones. And so we thought it would be such a fun idea to have these introduction classes. Yeah.
And it's kind of a catch-up class where they'll get ballet, jazz, modern.
What if they've had no experience?
Doesn't matter.
Experience.
That's what it's for.
Body type.
That's what it's for.
So if I tell you I'm 16, I can come sign up?
Yes.
And so it's by age groups instead of by levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they'll get a taste of everything, and hopefully over time they'll be able to move into a level with their own age group, and they'll sort of catch up with them.
Yeah, what a great experience. Thanks for that. The other thing I didn't quite understand is how the plan called family packages would work. For example, would this be for 2 or more children in the same family? And what do parents need to know about that?
Yeah, the way the tuition works is that you pay for the number of hours total.
Of instruction.
A number of hours of instruction,
okay.
And it's the whole family. So I have 2 families with one is 2 daughters and a mother who take, and then one is 3 children, and it makes it so much more affordable because it's collective total number of hours of instruction, and they can take anything they want. So it's really affordable for families. And I have another family who takes, one of them takes Irish and one of them takes jazz and modern, and they're not allowed to take the other form because they want to be independent. But it really helps the mom because she doesn't have to go to 2 different schools and pay. It all makes
I
it
see.
more affordable.
And they can use that time they bought however they choose.
Yeah, we just add up their total hours that they're signing up for the month.
Then tally it.
And it's much more affordable that way.
That is wonderful. Okay, the other thing for Adrienne, I have read that dance director and founder Adrienne Bellis was a national champion as part of an 8-hand, correct me, Kaylee
Kaylee team.
Giving my ignorance away. Team. For those of us who are unfamiliar with Irish dance and its terminology, would you mind telling us more about that experience and also the meaning of 8-hand Kaylee and what that is?
Well, Kaylee is a social dance in Irish dancing. So 8 hands. It should actually be called 16 hands. It's 8 people.
Okay.
But so you have like, it's a lot like what people perceive of as square dancing and other types of folk dancing. It's just unique to Ireland. There are like 32, don't quote me on that, 32 or so traditional Cayley dances that everybody knows. But that it's a form of social dance. In Irish, traditionally, it's been a lot about competition.
Yes,
and so when I went and competed, that was the only thing my school did when I was growing up. Actually, I started when in my 20s. But that was all you could do. You didn't really get a lot of opportunities to perform. So while I do compete, and I have about 6 kids who regularly compete right now, and who are doing really well. They're going to the World Championships in June.
Exciting.
But then I really like to perform. I'm a performer first, I'm a singer first. And so yeah, I'm kind of into the performance, and I teach them how to choreograph, and I'm more about the empowerment than the competition.
Interesting.
But if they get that from competition, great.
What a great experience. Just a couple more questions. Is that okay with you? Okay. I have, Ireland is a very old culture which has contributed so much to the world's cultural and artistic wealth. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of Irish dance as it pertains to Belisama, and your students, for example, start with, how old is this dance form? Something that basic. I mean, has this been going on for 1,000 years? But what do we know?
The honest answer is, I'm not sure anybody knows.
Yeah.
The best rumor is that Irish dancing came about from the oppression of the church, religious oppression, and so dancing was forbidden.
Ah.
This is the favorite rumor. There's a lot going against it, but anyways, it's the favorite rumor that everybody quotes. And so they had to keep their arms at their sides because it was below the windows or below the cornfields, and so they wouldn't look like they were dancing. That's the most popular rumor.
I love it.
Yeah, I have no idea if it's true. I've heard there's a lot of arguments in both directions.
Whether it's
that is the most popular rumor. It's definitely, you know, if you've ever been to an Irish pub on like St. Patrick's Day and it's just wall-to-wall people,
yes.
It definitely helps when you're dancing in wall-to-wall people because you don't take anybody out of there.
That's
so it could be necessity, I don't know. It is, I mean, they've been dancing for a long, long, long time, but it's not as old, I don't think, a tradition as the idea of Irish implies.
Yes, yeah, okay, or could imply, sure. A question for Annie. I've read about your experiences with the Aspen Santa Fe Ballet, Moving People Dance, and your tenure with Robert Wood Dance of New York. What do you consider to be your strengths in dance, and what do you love performing most? For example, I could be talking about composer, style, place, whatever. What's your favorite?
My favorite? Well, like she said, she's a performer and a singer. I'm a choreographer. And
okay.
And so I love. That's my heart. I love doing
That's what I wanted to get at.
Yeah. And it's just been so beautiful and so amazing that I've taken little bits from Aspen Ballet and from my mentor Marianne Santos Newhall and from Moving People and from Rob Wood and then at my school in Seattle and in New York, and there's all these little bits and all these people inside of me.
Yes.
And then I've been able to find my own voice and pass that to my students, and
it's a thrill. Yeah, that's exciting.
I'm so happy to be teaching back in my hometown.
That's what I want to get at, the question that lights you up,
yeah.
Which that just did. And then just the last question is, give either one of you an opportunity to speak to or add to any other pieces of information you think the community should know about?
Let me add to what she just said, because I think like we really want to build good dancers and good technique. But I think so much of it for us is about creating and about empowering the students to create and to be a part of that, the heart of that, yes. As opposed to just going on stage and going through the motions and having perfect technique, but then not being able to present it.
Yes.
So I think that's so much a part of what both of us do, and we both love to choreograph, and we both are influenced by a lot of choreography. I use a lot of contemporary choreography ideas in my Irish. And so I think that's a lot of, it's really just getting to, or helping everyone else get to the heart and the joy of what dance is about.
What it's about. Will you allow me one personal question?
Sure.
I'm interested. I love sports and athletics. How do you stay in shape? What do you do? Is there a daily regimen or routine that every dancer has to do? A certain amount of stretching, what we used to call or do you dance? Is dance the workout?
I teach 6 days a week.
Okay.
So dance is the workout to a certain extent.
Okay.
But you go do yoga several times a week. And
Yeah,
Do
I
yoga?
go
Yeah.
4 to 6 times a week. When I was, in best shape, I was dancing 4 to 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
7 days a week.
I mean, you have to dance a lot.
And what about, like pilots can't drink 12 hours or 24 hours before a flight? Are there foods you guys want to avoid?
Totally.
Yeah,
Do we? I don't know.
This is like people trying to be healthy and feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not because we're dancers, just because there's certain things that do make you feel slow the next day.
Like?
I don't drink very much because of that
That'll
in
do
particular.
It. Okay.
And then personally for me, cheese, which is one of my favorite things in the world to eat, just takes me down a notch for sure.
Okay.
It's so good. Pizza is so good that I just am like, I ate too much food yesterday.
It'll slow you down for what, a day afterward?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm consciously that aware of past the first day, but it's definitely like if I have a performance, no pizza.
No pizza, be discreet. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I'll try and get
Thank you.
this